Okay, so this is interesting. I'm taking a close-up of a skull and a jawbone, and I'm making it a background mountain. So how do I do that? Same skills we just went over. I had just run it through the direct adjustments. Now I'm going to use that eraser at 100% opacity, soft edge, 0% hardness, and I'm going to get rid of the hard edges around it. Okay, at least where it overlaps with the mountain. Because I want it to feel like it's part of the mountain. I can always take the opacity in general down to kind of see what shapes I might want. Like this. But I want it to be a weird mountain shape. Okay, next. Once I get rid of those hard edges, I can then go to lower opacities with my soft eraser and cut away in different sections to make it feel like this is all connected. I like that little splash of color that gets in there. Carry that ridge through, soften this. It's like rusting metal or something. You're just kind of corroding it by letting multiple parts come through, including this cloud. I have to make a choice. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to trim it. I want it to be a weird shape. I don't want it to be completely incomprehensible. So trim it to this. Okay, now I can see what is it like without that, what is it like with it, where can I blend it a little bit, and maybe I go back to levels adjustments and I see how the lighting, the lights and darks can help it to kind of blend in as kind of a weird mountainous range. Now, these really, really dark shapes up here are a little confusing, so I'm going to select them. Then I'm going to feather them using select and mask. And then I'm going to just erase out at a low opacity to dim them. Just in this one area, right? Like that. Okay. And then I might use my lasso, select around it, and then feather and mask. Select and mask. Come on. This takes a lot of processing for Photoshop. The selecting and masking, because it's holding a lot in its memory at once. Okay. So that's kind of what I had in mind. This very strange shape. And I might even go back to my mountain and get rid of the regular mountaintop. Just take my eraser and erase away this peak. So I really kind of just created my own mountain range. It's a little bit more cartoonish this way, complete with strange jawbones built into it, which is part of my inspiration. Kind of, remember I have that open in the corner, like rocks with teeth growing out of them. How do I express that in a way that's kind of photorealistic? Concept for a movie. Okay. Then any edges that are too hard, I can take down. Let's see, is it that? Yeah. And remember, we're just trying to make things exist right now. Okay, so now we've got that. Next layer, these mists kind of coming through. This will be a lot of fun. What do I do first? Play with direct adjustments. So image, adjustment, levels, the mist coming from these mountains. Do I want it to brighten? Do I want it to darken? I think I want it just a little bit darker there. I'm going to limit the highlights just a little bit. Maybe to there. Okay. Next, image, adjustments, color balance. My favorite one. Start with the midtones. Going to push it more towards the cyans, more towards the blues, more towards the magentas, though I do like how it's going a little bit greener. Now with the highlights, because I'm going into the middle ground now, I could bring in a little bit of that yellow and a little bit of the red to start getting like color dimension, right? So you can see that difference from that to that. And then big shift if I want it, hue saturation, play with the hue slider. Come on. Because the rocks are very gray, it doesn't affect them too much. And then the saturation slider. More colorful, less colorful. I want a little bit more color in there. Okay? Now, I got to do the blending and the adjusting. So how do I get this mist? This is a soft edge. How do I do it? I use my eraser at 100% opacity, large and soft. And start blending it in. Try to avoid the rocks. And then how about all this stuff? Well, this is a good candidate for the magic wand. Select it, hold down shift, select it, select and mask. Just to soften that edge a tiny bit. And then just hit delete. That will cut it away. Then I'm going to select the mist itself. Select and mask. Which is like adding a feather to a magic wand selection. Then I'm going to use my eraser. And because I got rid of the hard edge already, now I can go to a lower opacity. And I can start sweeping this down. Okay, what else is it revealing? So take my opacity down even less. And just reveal this a little bit more. But keep it mysterious. There we go. All right, so we got middle ground, background, looking nicely spooky. Okay, what's next? These rocks, which don't look spooky at all. They're very bright. So how do I change that? Image adjustment. Start with levels. Move the midtone slider lighter or darker. I want it darker, and I want to limit the highlights. Okay. Next, image, adjustments, color balance. And I want this to be less yellow, more magenta in the midtones, a little bit more cyan. Highlights, I can put a little bit of that yellow back, just a touch, because we're getting closer and closer to the foreground. Maybe a little bit of the red. Maybe a little bit of green. Let's see. Yeah, it's dangerous. And then the shadows. See what makes sense. Maybe a little red, just a touch of blue. Okay, then the big swings. Hue saturation. Do I need it? Actually, helps a little bit to push it there. And then do I want it more colorful or less colorful? I'm looking at the rocks themselves. The sky is going to get erased. So probably right there. Looks like they have little golden heads now, which is kind of cool. Okay, now, how do I blend this? Use the magic wand, select the stuff I want to get rid of, hold down Shift, grab all that sky. Remember, contiguous is on. And now I'm going to use a slightly different technique. Instead of deleting, and instead of using select and mask, I should use select and mask. But instead of just hitting delete, I'm going to show you how I can use the selection as a mask for my eraser. So deleting will erase everything, right? Like that. But maybe I want just little hints of that atmosphere. So I'm going to, once it's selected and feathered, I'm going to use my eraser, and I'm going to use it at 100% opacity because I got to get rid of that hard edge. But now I don't need to worry about it hurting the crisp edge of the rocks pixels. Right? Does that make sense? But now it's got a little bit of that purple mist around it. So I'm going to go to a lower opacity because I got rid of the hard edge. And I'm just going to sweep over, because a little bit of that might help in this kind of cartoonish environment. Then deselect. All right. And if I get kind of lost about what I'm trying to accomplish, I can always turn on my onion skin and see. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if the rocks are up that high or not. So I'm going to try moving them to where I think fits into my landscape a little bit better and covers up a part of my landscape I'm not quite as fond of, which might be this section here. Okay. Now, I've done what I can with the coloring. So now I get to blend. And where I have hard edges of the ground here, what do I need to do? I have to go to 100%. And I have to get rid of those hard edges on the top and bottom. And I like using the tablet because that allows me not to always fill the whole circle of the brush. So these edges get lost to the mist, kind of swirling in, back edge, lost to shadow a little bit. So then I can go to lower opacities. And the rocks are too similar to what's around it for me to protect them with a magic wand. So I could just use my lasso and protect the rock edge and the shadow that way. And now use my eraser at lower opacities and start blending it out. So it looks like these rocks are coming out of the mist. Kind of misty lakes.